Today we're breaking down the main event for UFC 266 on Saturday the 25th of September at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas.
You look like,
mate.
Come on,
good
relax.
looks will only get you. Hey, good looks will only get you. Hey, so far, mate. Once I get in that octagon, I'll punch that prettiness out your face. Don't you worry about that.
hey,
I ain't need to look pretty. I'm a
warmed up.
fighter. I ain't need to look pretty. I'm a fighter.
In person, you don't give that same energy.
What, mate? I called you a piece of to your face. You didn't do nothing. What are you talking about?
I told you to shut the up, and you didn't do nothing about it.
We'll see what happens. You play all like tough guy. Think you're the man. Think you're gangster. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see. September 25th. See you there.
Later.
This one has been a long time coming. Volkanovski was set to defend his title against Brian Ortega at UFC 260. And it's the first fight since Volkanovski's recovered from COVID-19. Since then, the two men have acted as coaches on the 29th season of The Ultimate Fighter, delaying the contest until this weekend. Ortega, on the other hand, returned to form following a long layoff after his loss to Holloway. His striking seems to have been much more polished against his fight with Korean Zombie, dropping him multiple times. The question is, has Volkanovski's lungs fully recovered from his COVID-19 experience? And has the improvement in Ortega's standing game improved enough to overcome Volkanovski's striking game? Let's look at the tail of the tape. Volkanovski, 21 wins with 1 loss. Ortega has 15 wins, 1 loss, 1 no contest. What stands out is that these two fighters have just 1 loss between each of them. Ortega was obviously beaten by Max Holloway at UFC 231 in his previous title shot. Volkanovski, on the other hand, remains unbeaten since his only loss back in 2013. He's currently on a 19-fight win streak. The other important thing to take note of is that although Volkanovski is clearly the shorter fighter, he's got the reach advantage. Volkanovski also has 3 submission wins, 8 wins by decision and 11 TKOs. A very clean and solid record. Volkanovski is certainly well-rounded, able to finish fights and to go the distance. Ortega, on the other hand, has 3 knockout wins, 7 submission wins and 5 wins by decision. Volkanovski strikes landed per minute 6.02. Striking defense is 60% as opposed to Brian Ortega's striking defense, which is only at 52%. His strikes landed per minute is 4.29. And also is that the takedown defense, Volkanovski has the better average at 72% versus Brian Ortega's 56%. When it comes to looking at the fighters' attributes, one thing that should be kept in mind is their common opponent, Max Holloway, who is largely considered to be one of the greatest featherweight fighters of all time. Volkanovski basically became the first featherweight in years to get the better of Blessed. He surprised the Hawaiian with his speed, kicking ability and striking accuracy. However, there still seems to be quite a lot of controversy surrounding the second fight between Max Holloway and Volkanovski. Many pundits believe that Holloway actually won that fight. And if you have a look at the second fight, the first 2 rounds were given to Holloway, who typically starts off slow, but in that case he did a lot of adjustments and was able to take the fight to Volkanovski. The last 2 rounds of that fight went to Volkanovski. So the contentious issue relates to the 3rd round. And if you have a look at the footage, you'll see why the judges gave the round to Volkanovski. Remember that above anything, damage outweighs octagon control, etc. And if you have a look at the number of strikes that were exchanged between the two, Volkanovski certainly had the better of Holloway in that 3rd round, although it was quite close. Volkanovski basically became the first featherweight in years to get the better of Max Holloway on the feet. With his speed, kicking ability, and striking accuracy, Ortega appeared to have improved on the feet dramatically in his most recent outing against Korean Zombie, a largely one-sided affair. After the spinning elbow strike, which was quite significant, Zombie failed to do any real offensive moves. Zombie wasn't able to pull the trigger. Ortega's stand-up game seemed to be a lot more polished and neater and more aggressive. The first question is, will the fight go to the ground or will it stay standing up? Now, Brian Ortega should hold the advantage on the mat. T-City is a high-level Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Volkanovski is a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he has a background in Greco-Roman wrestling. Unfortunately for Ortega, Volkanovski does have a high takedown defense of 72%. The only fighter to take him down with any real success was Chad Mendes, one of the best wrestlers to ever compete at featherweight. So I think that if the fight does go to the ground, Ortega should have the edge. However, whether he can actually get Volkanovski down on the ground is another question on its own. Who's more likely to adapt to the opponent? Typically what we see in championship bouts is that the challenger changes their game a bit in order to bring something new to challenge for that title. Ortega, most likely, we've already seen a clear difference in his stand-up game. Volkanovski always stays composed even under the most intense pressure. In his rematch against Holloway, he was able to quickly adapt and to make the necessary adjustments in the third, fourth, and fifth rounds. He showed that he can win in more than one way. In the first bout, he battered the former champ with leg kicks, which opened up areas for him to throw his hands, and when Max would engage with him, he would stay in the pocket and throw. In the rematch, Volkanovski had some issues on the feet, with Holloway absorbing 102 significant strikes compared to the 134 in their first meeting. That 102 number also represents the fewest Holloway has landed over his 7 fights. Volkanovski decided to grapple, securing 3 takedowns after not landing any in his 4 previous fights. The next question is, whose striking will get the better of the opponent? The biggest knock on Ortega's career has been his striking skills. However, some of those critics were silenced when he knocked out Frankie Edgar, earning him the title shot with Max Holloway. In his return to the octagon in October, T-City looked like a new man on the feet, picking Korean Zombie apart, landing 127 significant strikes to Zombie's 62. Ortega had 2 knockdowns in the fight as well. Prior to the Holloway fight, Ortega had been outstruck in 5 of his 7 bouts, while equal strikes in one and a 2-strike advantage in the other. That said, he had a tremendous ability to finish his opponents in the 3rd round when he was losing to the scorecards. He did this against Thiago Tavares, Diego Brandao, Clay Guida, and Renato Moicano. One of the things that benefited Ortega in the Zombie fight was the lack of output from the Korean Zombie. Volkanovski's last 5 fights, he has landed at least 100 significant strikes and averages 6.02 significant strikes per minute. I think Volkanovski has the better footwork and striking defense, although Ortega may have the power advantage when he fires that left hand. There's no denying the high-level submission skills of Brian Ortega, most notably his guillotine. I was very impressed with Ortega's straight, accurate punches versus Zombie, working behind the jab and countering heavy with his left hand. Essentially, Volkanovski can't afford to make a single slip-up in this fight. Now, finally, let's consider whether or not this fight will be finished. Volkanovski is not known for his jaw-dropping KOs and huge power. He definitely keeps a high work rate and stings his opponents with his jab and left hook. He has an unusual erratic momentum that makes him hard to read. His 71-inch reach advantage holds up well against taller fighters. He has good leg kicks, which is a key part of his arsenal. He slips underneath punches and is able to land clean body shots. But Ortega is probably the most dangerous finisher in the featherweight division. He's capable of turning a fight on its head at any time. What are the ways to win for Volkanovski? His ability to change up the fight, coupled with the erratic momentum, he's got the reach advantage, he's got great leg kicks, and what he does is he closes distance with the combination of his kicks and his jab, and more importantly, his ability to stay composed under pressure. He's able to maintain a level head, stick to the game plan, and if it doesn't work, he's able to change it up. That's why he was able to adjust his game so late in the fight with Holloway. That's what you need against someone with the submission skills and the grappling of Brian Ortega. For Ortega, his standing game has improved quite a lot, and I think coupled with the fact that he's got a switch stance, it does make it very difficult to read his striking. And I think the fact that Volkanovski lunges in with those punches and kicks in order to close the distance will make it very difficult for Volkanovski if he goes in thinking that Brian Ortega is in a position to find that he's now switched position, make him susceptible to getting clipped. Ortega definitely has power. Brian Ortega was the first person in UFC history to actually finish Frankie Edgar, a testament to the power that he has in his hands. So I think if anyone can, Ortega could finish him by a TKO. Ortega also needs to pace himself. He's not typically known for having a good gas tank, and going up against someone like Volkanovski will definitely be able to keep the work rate up and put the pressure on. Only time will tell if Ortega can hang with Volkanovski on the feet for 5 rounds.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to Juno's Combat Club for more updates on combat sports.